Wow. Okay. Welcome to Venture Active Virtual Healing's Trainer Talks. I'm Dr. Allison Brownlee, and I'll be chatting with Ciara, the founder of VA Virtual Healing today. Ciara, thank you so much for taking the time today and letting our members get to know you a little bit better and learn more about Venture Active.
Thanks for having me. I just want to apologize straight out of the gate. I just came back from a run, so I'm a little red and a little sweaty, but you know, life of a trainer.
Right. This is right, exactly. You are just in your element. This is how you are when we meet you anyways, right?
Yeah.
Back from a run, back from a climb, whatever it is that you're doing with our with our members, outside, inside. So let's just start. Cool. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Let's start with, why don't you tell us a little bit about why you started Venture
Active? Okay. So the short of it is that 8 or so plus years ago, I was bartending, and I still do occasionally, not right now during COVID, obviously. And at that time, I was really, really caught up in what I thought like that lifestyle should be. And so I was kind of drinking all the time, partying all night long, like living a very, very unhealthy lifestyle. There is a way to bartend and not get caught up in that, but unfortunately I got caught up in it. And I was literally partying myself probably to death. Like it was really, really bad. And I was waking up every day with like anxiety and depression and weight gain. And then halfway through the day, I'd be like, okay, I'm going to get it together and I'm going to have a salad for lunch. And I'm going to go to the gym and fix my life. And then, then I'd go in for my shift and have a shot here or there. And then that turned into 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm still awake, and it just repeated itself. And so I started kind of hiking out here locally. And then I started dragging my friends to come hiking. And then when I was on this hike, I had a friend of mine suggest that I become a personal trainer. And I thought that was the funniest thing that I'd ever heard in my life, because no one was going to take me seriously for that. Most of all me. But then I kind of realized that I really did enjoy being outdoors, and I enjoyed like how that made me feel. So I decided to make the move to get my life together and move out to West Virginia to stay with my family on their ranch and go back to school and drive across country to do so. So I got my car, packed up my dog, started my drive across country, and I stopped in Colorado to visit some friends. And so I'd driven all night, and I decided that next morning that I was going to attempt my first 14er, Mount Bierstadt.
What's a 14er for those of us who don't know?
So that is 14. That's a mountain that's over 14,000 foot elevation. So that climb, that peak, that summit's 14,000 feet at least. So I was ill prepared, to say the least, like beyond ill prepared. I was just stubborn. So I decided to do this without really mapping it out or doing any research or anything that I could that would, probably life-saving things. And I drug a friend along and decided to do this hike in yoga pants and in like regular like running shoes and a zip up hoodie and a hat, which I lost like 15 minutes into it because the wind gusts were so strong. So
for those of us just in the future, do not hike a 14,000 foot mountain in yoga pants, a flimsy hat, and tennis shoes.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
All right.
I also didn't have enough water. I didn't have enough food. I didn't have enough anything. But I did it. So I started doing this hike, and then about halfway through, I realized that I may have gotten myself into something like way over my head. And I started getting sick. I started getting altitude sickness. Then I hit the snow, which I didn't expect because it was summertime. Again, I was not prepared. So about halfway through, I started thinking like, this is really insane and I need to turn around. Yeah. And then some little voice in me was like, absolutely not. You've come this far. You're doing this. And so what I did was I climbed just a tiny bit at a time, and then I would have to stop because of altitude sickness and I couldn't catch my breath. And I would just like lean in, and then like the bouldering part of it started happening. So I'm bouldering rocks, and I'm like, maybe only get like 5 to 10 feet up, and then kind of tuck myself in and breathe through it again. And have a little bit of water, and fight throwing up. And it took me a really, really long time. But eventually I kept thinking like, okay, there's other people that can do this. I could do this. Why can't I do this? So I kept pushing and pushing and pushing, and I got to the top. And I made it to the summit. And like, I actually have a picture of me at the summit, which I could send you. You'll see that I was like clearly not prepared for this. I get to the top, and there's these guys up there and this little peak, and they were like, "Oh, we've been training for this for months. How long have you been training? Where are you from?" And I was like, "I got here from San Diego this morning." So yeah, and that's when it kind of hit me like how good I felt that I had like kept pushing through, because like it really was my mind telling my body to do it, and that I could do it, and like to just keep trying, and like give myself grace to like stop and rest, and like tell myself that that's okay. Like it doesn't matter how long it takes me, as long as I get there. And to overcome like the physical, just keep pushing through with the mental. And so that feeling that I got at the top was like the best feeling that I'd ever had. Like the elation, and like I was proud of myself. I was proud of my girlfriend that had gone with us. I was proud of everybody up there. I mean, I was hugging everyone. I was in everyone's space.
Of course you were.
So,
this is pre-COVID when we were allowed to touch.
Yeah, this is like 8 years ago. I'm hugging perfect strangers. They're like, yeah, weirdo. And it was really funny because I was all cut up because there was like snow that I'd fallen through and like sliced my legs up. But it was like, oh, it was the best feeling. And all I wanted to do was get back down to the bottom and have like a burrito. But anyway, it just kind of like, I knew that I was on my way to go out there to go to school for personal training. I knew I wanted to try that. And that was my light bulb moment that like, I don't have to do that in a gym necessarily. Like I could do something outdoors and share that feeling that I just got with everybody else. Like push yourself mentally, push yourself physically. Don't do it the way I did it originally. Be safe, be with people that know what they're doing, which is why I learned to do that.
Right, because you want to be one of those people that helps those of us that don't know what we're doing to be able to like accomplish things that we might not ever think that we can do.
Right, exactly. And so that's it. That's like where it started. It was like, okay, I can do this. And so I went home, or I went to West Virginia, and I was with my family, and I was there a few years, and I got I went through, I got my personal training through NASM, studied vigorously and worked really hard on it, and got a job at a gym out there. And then that was it. Enough time passed, and I was like, flip a coin, like go to Colorado to start this or go back to San Diego. And that coin I flipped turned heads, and heads it was, San Diego. And I drove back out here and started it. And it was just personal training outdoors, doing squats in the park with friends. And trying to learn how to build it. And that's what I did in baby steps, and it was one thing at a time and one mistake at a time. And, so that's what it was.
And so now that you've built Venture Active, and you have a community of trainers and yogis and people that do breath works and all of that, and then you have all these members and people that are finding the community to just be so helpful. Like in that, what is the best part of the work for you now that you've built Venture Active to what it is today?
First things first, we have a doctor on board too. Shout out to you. No, the rest of us have a doctorate. What do I define as success, or what's the best part? It's the breakthrough moments. So it's the breakthrough moments that I get to be a part of. So what does that mean? That's that aha moment that I see happen to people that I can equate to that moment where I kept pushing and I got to the top of that peak. That moment where we're side by side with someone, either they're out on a paddleboard and they're frozen, terrified, or they're on a rock wall and they are climbed all the way to the top and then don't know how to get down, or they can't even take that first step off the ground to get up onto the rock wall and I'm behind them, or whether or not it's getting on a horse in the middle of the woods for the first time, like, or it's they've done their first plank for 30 seconds. It's that moment where they fought through something that they didn't think they could do, and they were experiencing all this like raw, scary emotion, and then they do it.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
That's the greatest thing in the world. Because then all of a sudden they realize like they can do not just that, like now they can, like, they have it in their head. Now they can do more. They can do something else. And they can start pushing past that like fear that's innate in all of us, and that like anxiety that exists in all of us. And it's usually just that little voice in your head telling you can't do it. And that voice is wrong.
Yeah. And it sounds like for you, like the best part of this is being able to, in the moment, be with people who start to realize that that voice is wrong. Like they have a recognition that fear doesn't have to rule their life. And whether that be, you know, being able to plank for 30 seconds, or, you know, run a mile in the time that they've never run a mile before, right? That even those physical wins or those successes are so reflective to ourselves. Like, my body can do this. I can do this. I don't have to be overrun by my fear, or those voices and those messages of like, I can't, I will never be able to, right? You get to be in the moment with somebody saying you can, and you are, and you will, and you do.
Yeah, you are. And you are enough. Right? Like, you're enough.
Yeah.
You've got this. It's already inside you. And somewhere along the line, from when we were kids until we became like adults, something or someone told us, even if it's our own self, but someone, something, somewhere told us that we couldn't do that.
Yeah. Or
we need to be fearful of that. And we listened to it. And we let that control us.
Right.
And so it's, you know, it's all that the negative talk that we give to ourselves. And we're here to say, like, yes, you can. Like, you can do this. And I think one of the most interesting things I've ever seen in the smallest version, is a box jump. I know people, I have been with, I would say 150 people, men or women, in all the 8-9 years, however long I've been doing this, that will literally go up to a curb and they're like, I am not jumping on that and jumping down.
Right. Yeah.
And I understand that fear. I get it.
Right.
I'm an adult. If I hurt myself, like, I'm out of work, then I can't do all the things that I need to do. And it's like all these things. And it's as simple as like a little, like, 6-inch jump and then back down. But like, it's real. That fear is real.
Totally real. Right. It's so true. I mean, what a great example of how something theoretically so simple, right? A 6-inch jump can really reflect the fear that runs through us, and the I can't, I won't, not good enough, can't do this. Like, all of those messages come up right in that moment. And how beautiful it is that you get to experience like big ahas from like small accomplishments, like just that. Being able to see how empowering and powerful that is, that people can overcome little things and feel such gratitude and relief and joy from that.
Yeah. And it becomes like the stepping stone for like, okay, I did that, so now I can do this. Like, the biggest example for big is like, we have had members that came to us and like didn't know how to swim, right? They can't swim. Or we're afraid of the water, and they're getting on a paddleboard, and we're doing just a simple paddle class, and we're teaching you how to just be on a paddleboard, right? End of the season, now I've got this person who is now teaching other people, well, not necessarily teaching, but like guiding other people, helping with the class, new people who are having that same fear. And so and then at the end, they're doing burpees on paddleboards, and they're like planking, and they're doing yoga on paddleboards, and they're doing the long distance paddles. And like, then they're, haven't ever really hiked or camped. And then all of a sudden they're like camp experts, they're like, they're like showing other people how to set up tents.
Right.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I mean, you're also helping people find their passions, like where we have been afraid to, or didn't know that we even liked water or a hike or camping. Like, not only do we like it, but now we feel so expert at it that we want to help other people,
Mm-hmm.
you know, which is, another a question that I was going to ask, and this kind of ties into kind of the vision for Venture Active. I mean, I know the vision, so I can kind of launch from that without asking the question, but just kind of having this conversation about the community perspective and like what you're saying in members finding their aha moment, finding their passion, and then you've built this lovely community of people who want to pass that on and want to spread that to the other members and want to help other people get past their fears and their I can'ts and I won't, those voices.
Yeah, it's really, really neat. It's really neat to watch the progression of it. And it kind of like spreads, it's like Venture has spread throughout Southern California, and then also a little bit into like Ventura County and up, but like only through word of mouth really. And it's the people that have come and done either the adventures or had a membership that really kind of get into it, and then they start bringing other people into it because they're like, oh my gosh, you never believe what I did, like. And it just brings in more and more and more, and it becomes this like super supportive family. And we've had people get married that have met through Venture. So it's like we go and it's when we go on these like really incredible trips that like we're shoving 15 people into our van, and when you're driving 8 hours with 15 people you don't know, you're gonna get to know them.
Yeah.
and once that you get, it's a little quiet on the van ride up to wherever we're going, and then we have our adventure, whether it's like whitewater rafting or we're like horseback riding in the middle of the Sierras, or we're hiking Zion, and we're doing like Devil's Landing, this super scary thing. All of a sudden these 15 strangers become 15 life friends, and 15 life support groups. Like now we have people that are like, my favorite thing is when I see outside of our hikes or outside of us climbing or outside like our venture itself as a like class or as a event, when I see these people who 6 months ago were complete strangers, now I see them tagging us out hiking, like they're out doing it together as friends, just on a random Wednesday. And it's not something we put together. It's awesome. They support each other. Like,
so
really,
great.
really cool.
And I think, that's one of the things that I love about, like I said, this community, this family that you built, right? It really feels like a family. And part of the work that's so powerful is, we've talked about this, a lot, is people feeling like they come in to this situation kind of feeling alone, or having felt alone, or have had experiences where they're kind of lonely or isolated, and they come into the Venture family and they truly create a network of friends and lifelong friends, and people who get to who they get to have a lifelong bond with, that really, again, it's like, it's such a family feel, and those relationships are so important.
Yeah, it is. I think it's people helping people, right? The other thing that I think is very important to note about Venture is that we have been, from day one, no tolerance of bullying or negative talk, either to oneself or to others. If you're negative talk to yourself, I'm going to probably pull you aside and we're going to talk about where that's coming from, and we're going to push through it. And I'm not a doctor, I'm not a therapist, but like I'm going to find out where that's coming from, and from my experience try to help you there. But bullying or putting someone down in any way, shape, or form, or competition is just not allowed.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that breeds any growth.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Even my training style, when I'm teaching a class, any sort of boot camp or personal training, everybody's got their own style, but like I'm never going to be the trainer that's yelling at you to do more and screaming at you to run faster or belittling you because you don't have it right. Because I don't believe that sort of prompts people to do better. Like,
I think what's great about the style of the trainers and the yogis and you know, everyone that's on the Venture Active team is that it's a collaboration. Like, we come to the members and co-create goals. And so if you have somebody in one of your classes, you know, you've probably already talked to them about what they want, what their goals are, and you have a felt sense for what is helpful for that person. Like, you've had conversations about what their fears are, what gets in the way of doing a box jump, or, you know, what it's like for them to be out on the water if they've never been on a paddleboard before. Like, you've done the work with the members. And so when you're out on the water with them, or they're in a boot camp, you know what works for them. You know that screaming at me is not going to be helpful, right? That, you know, that I need like gentle, loving tones, you know, things like that. But for somebody else, you know, you do have the ability to lovingly push them a little harder, you know, meeting their goal in it, but it's not shame-based. I think that's really important, that members have the ability to let us know what they want and what they need and how they want to be communicated with and how they want to be pushed. And sometimes we'll ask them to stretch a little bit, right? And we'll kind of talk to them about why we feel like it's important that they stretch, but it's a conversation, right? It's not us imposing our own views or values about what you as a person should be doing in your life based on our agenda.
100%. And I think it's really important that you touched on like stretching, not stretching in the literal form, yoga, but like, I am always going to. I am always going to. All of our instructors, all of our coaches, all of our guides, all of our therapists, everybody on the VA team, from your massage therapist all the way to your breathworks person or your yoga instructor or your paddleboard or your fishing guide or any of these people, they are going to, they are trained to, and they are brought onto the team to push you to stretch yourself past your little, whatever that little limit is that you're afraid of. And it doesn't have to be the first time you go out or the second time or the third time that you hit that, but like we're here not only to help you stretch past that, but we're also here to like catch you if you back up and you're like, I'm not ready, and that's okay.
Yeah. I'm wondering too if you could tell the story about the girl on the climbing wall with the anxiety.
Right. So
a lovely example of what Venture Active represents.
So we work with a lot of different facilities, and this particular facility has patients that deal with a lot of different blocks. So we're talking like depression, anxiety, traumatic loss, right? So there's, you know, and at any given day, people are kind of going through things. And so we take people out climbing in a safe environment. We're taking them to a climbing gym. Oh, here it comes.
Another member of the Venture family.
Another member of the Venture family, Harlem Shakes, who's shown up. Surprised.
Yeah.
May very well knock this whole thing over right now. Okay, we're gonna, Harlem. Okay, we love you. Bye-bye.
Oh,
I know. Survivor girl. Anyway, so this particular day, we had probably 5 or 6 people in the climbing gym that we had brought. And this person was dealing with like very severe anxiety. So she got up the wall She got up, she sent the climb, as we call it. So she got up, she touched the top, and it was amazing. And then all of a sudden that like major fear and that major anxiety kicked in. And I think we've all been familiar with that, where you become frozen. And your body has a tendency to do that to you. It's like a protective thing, right? You're like so frightened you freeze.
Yeah.
And it's that fight or flight, right? Well, she was done. So the option was either I climb up there and get her and bring her down, or I take this as an opportunity to help her stretch, right? Past her limit. And so I decided that this is going to be a moment where we're going to stretch. So I simply asked her to start breathing, and I started giving her encouragement, and I told her everything's fine and she's safe and I'm here and I'm at the bottom and nothing's going to happen to her, but we're going to do this together. And you're going to listen to the sound of my voice, and you're going to find that inner strength, just a little bit of it in you, and we're going to get through this. And so it took just a little while, and she was very shaky, very scared, but like she started coming through it, and little by little she started down climbing, and little by little she started noticing she was getting closer to the ground and closer to safety and closer to, well, being grounded, right? So but she's crying and she's shaking and she's sweating and all the things, and then she gets to the bottom and she turned around and she just started crying, and I thought it was like, uh-oh. And she was like, I can't believe I did this. I am so happy I did this. I thought there was no way I was going to be able to get through this. And this is the worst panic I've ever had. And I did it. And so I'm hugging her. She's hugging me. And it was like, I have goosebumps right now.
Yeah.
Thinking about that, because it was, it was like such a moment that like, this is why we do what we do.
Yeah.
This is why.
And I love that, especially because like innately what our staff does and what the trainers do and everyone that's supporting is the message that they're giving to our members and our community is, you're not in this alone. I'm right here with you. I'm going to come alongside you, and we're going to get through this together. And so it really spreads that hope and that encouragement, and it undoes all of that kind of like isolation or aloneness that we feel, that I think most of us can relate to, feeling like in some part of our life we've been on the top of a wall by ourselves and we don't know how we're going to get down. And to just be able to have an experience where you get to get down with somebody else who's saying, I'm right here with you, you're safe, is so incredibly powerful, not just in that moment, but just as like a lesson in life, and what it can be like to trust someone, and what it can be like to be in, relationship with somebody who's trustworthy, and to be able to take that risk is just so wonderful, so healing for people, both mentally and physically.
Yeah, that's exactly why we do what we do. I know that's why, I know that's why we work with you, and we work with our whole team has been vetted very, very well, because we only bring in people that have that philosophy, and that like, we're in this together, we can help each other, and it's not just like that, those extremes where you're on the rock wall, but like if you're coming in and we're going out on a 5-mile paddle out and you're having a real crap day, because we all have crap days, right? Like you just lost your job, or you just broke up with your significant other, or you got to fight with your ma, whatever it is, right? And you're jumping on that paddleboard, I guarantee you that not only myself or Laurel or whoever's out there is going to, as an instructor, is going to see, okay, you might be having a bad day, I'm going to kind of scoot over next to you. Yeah. But what happens a lot of the time is, even before we can get to you, one of the other members has already figured it out, and they're already paddled over to you. Yeah. And they're already, buddy system, and like, hey, what's going on, and it's just that there's that much support between everyone, and it's wonderful.
And I think that really speaks to, again, like the culture that you've created in who you have on staff and who you vet. And I wonder if you could talk a little bit about your staff and kind of who you choose and what your expectations of them are?
Absolutely. Okay. So with the staff that we brought on, we're very, very particular. Everyone gets, everyone's certified. Most of them are double, triple, quadruple certified. Because we do so many different things, a lot of the times we need an instructor who is not just, water safety certified, but we're going to be doing yoga on that trip. So you need to be certified in yoga, or we have, self-defense martial artists that are also going to be a part of, a healing retreat where there's so many different things that we want them to kind of be in touch with, because we offer so many different things. So everyone's background checked. Everyone is, like I said, certified or multi-certified. And then once we get through all of that, and we figure that out, then it's down to like personality testing, and where we see whether or not they are in that mindset that like, we're all in this together and we're here to help, and there's no overbearing personality and there's zero judgment, and that they show up professional every single time, and ready to work and ready to be there if someone is having kind of a bad day, or if someone's going through some anxiety or some depression. We really do make sure that the people that we bring in, their heart is in this. This isn't a paycheck. This venture brand is a way of living your life. So in order to come in as part of our instructor family or our coach family, you really have to fit that mold. Because trust me, there have been a few that have come on and they kind of had us fooled. And within the first week, I was like, I'm sorry, but you're just not a good fit.
Yeah.
You have to have a sensitive, caring soul to be a part of our crew. It just is. And you have to be, it's safety first. Safety is number one. Yeah. Because everybody, we do things that are not necessarily.
My favorite saying is safety first.
I think it's really funny. Laurel too is always like, safety first, safety number one, fun number two. And I'm like, you're right.
Right, because you can't have fun if you're hurt or unsafe, right? So we got to get our bases covered.
And that's not to say, by the way, that things don't happen, right? Sure. We're in nature a lot. And you have to have a sense of humor. That's the other thing to be a part, not only part of our instructors, huge sense of humor, because if you've been out in nature long enough, you know that Mother Nature doesn't comply with what our plans are.
Right.
So, hey, Mother Nature, we've been planning this paddle out for 6 months. Can't wait. And then lightning strikes and you're like, what? Yeah. This was not in the forecast. Yeah. Not all of a sudden you're on the water and a storm comes through that you're like, what just happened? What's happening? And so of course you got to get everybody off the water and everybody's soaking wet and we're all laughing about it. But we were in Joshua Tree one time and there was a flash flood. By the way, there was no flash flood warning. We had no idea that any of this was coming. Just things happen. Got to be ready to be on your toes.
Right. That flexibility, that adaptability, but also being able to just see situations for what they are. We can't control the flash flood right now. We can't control the pandemic or the fact that we can't go tent camping or whatever that may be. But I think another great thing about the team is the flexibility to pivot and come up with creative ideas to work around the things where we get blocked or where we have, difficulties or unforeseen circumstances. And I think that really helps our members as well to see the team leading them be able to make a move in a different direction. And even though it's not what we intended, it's still working. It's still, we're still together, we're still connected, and we're still doing something. Even if it's not the thing that we plan to do, we find our way around it.
100%. I think the best example of that ever was we were doing our Stronger Together, our domestic abuse survivors retreat, right? Our camp retreat, which we've been planning for how long? And I'm in the living room setting up the 20th tent in my living room, and I'm inside a tent in my living room. And the TV's going, and all of a sudden I hear like, oh, well, no gathering of 250 people or more. And I'm like, well, we don't have 250 people. That's fine. We're camping. But then I was like, wait a minute. We're camping in a place where there's definitely 250 people camping.
Right.
And I like got out of my tent in my living room. My life, right?
Right.
My cat's in there with me. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, what? And so that's when I called you. And of course, we had, 4 hours?
Right. We did.
To turn around and redo an entire event that we had planned for all these wonderful women who are coming in from everywhere to like do this healing retreat with all of us and our contractors. And it was camping and it was paddleboarding and it was yoga outside. And then COVID said no.
Yeah. And then it wasn't. It was in a house and it was indoor and it was breathworks and it was still yoga and it was, but it transformed, right? I think that's the other piece, is that we have the ability to transform one event into another, and we have enough staff to fill in our gaps, and people who, like you said, are on the team, this is their passion, this is their life's work. And so it's really lovely to know that if we need to say like, hey, we need somebody to do breathworks this weekend for our, domestic violence survivors, that we have people on the team that are like, yep, absolutely, I'm there, I want to do this, and I'm excited to do it. Mm-hmm. And that passion in the midst of perceived chaos is really a reflection of I think the vision for Venture Active, because certainly you've created this brand in, knowing that the work that you do is unpredictable, knowing that nature changes our plans all the time, and that people, fall off their paddleboard and say they don't want to do it again, and you got to talk them through it, and the
off their horse, and I'm like,
right.
Well,
right, and we were being as safe as we possibly could, and things still happen, right? I mean, that I think, but again, someone comes alongside you, supports you, helps you through it, and again says, don't let that fear take over your life, right? That fear doesn't need to have that power in your life right now,
right?
Which is, I think one of the most powerful messages that the community provides, that again is facilitated by the staff. And I know another thing, just quickly too, like we've talked about before, is that the staff is ever growing and changing and evolving, and the staff members are also working on their own mental and physical well-being and health, and they're learning new skills and getting new certifications, and there's a really great opportunity for people to grow on the team, for them to be able to expand as a person.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a really important thing to touch on, because from the get-go, from the very beginning, I wanted to build a company that could bring on people that could work full time doing what they love. Mm-hmm. You don't have to work 17 different studios to pay your bills. Like, come on with Venture, and Venture is we want to be able to pay you a living wage and then some. Yeah. And so we're trying to like build the community up and pay you what you're worth, right? Because, and then some. And that's why we pay our instructors more than anybody else, because they're amazing quality, wonderful healers, and they're constantly learning, and they're very, very passionate about their craft, and they want to give back to their community, and they want to help. Yeah. And so, even in the midst of all this COVID, like, it was so hard, because I don't want to shut down, and I don't want to take work away from my people that want to work and want to heal, right? That's why we went virtual. Right. We're like, okay, I guess we're going virtual, even though that was something we had in the works. It was not going to happen for a year. It was like, this was a year-long plan to like do it in the studio, get everything right. And like, I'll learn all the things that but we got forced. It was another one of those things where it was like, okay, the world's shutting down. Now what do? How do we keep our contractors working? How do we still keep helping people every day?
Yeah.
Okay, we do it this way.
Yeah. Right. A major pivot, right? And what I love about that too is that the instructors are working to build one another up to make sure that their team is healthy and safe, and they're not competing with each other. There's such a supportive culture, like just I can build somebody else up without feeling like somehow that's taking away from my worth and my value. And I think that's so rare to find a group of people that truly have the best interest of one another at heart and don't feel the need to push down or minimize other people and their accomplishments.
No, I mean, it's absolutely the opposite. We celebrate people's accomplishments because they should be celebrated, right? Like, absolutely. You work hard at something, you're learning something, you're putting your heart and soul into something. We back that, and we want people to know that we recognize and we see you, and I think proud of you.
Totally. And moving to this virtual platform was such a demonstration of that. Everyone coming together saying, I'm terrified to do this. Yeah. I don't know if I can do it. I tried and it didn't go well, and now I'm crying. And other people, right. We're all having some, our own, anxiety or concern, or it's unknown. And what I've seen is people say to one another, like, you can do it. I want to help you. Not sitting there like, haha, they're having a hard time and I'm not, right? There's never that, like, that vibe. It's always, can I coach you through this? Can we practice? Can we, let's try it 10 times. Like, I will take the time out of my day to make sure that your core class goes well. Things like that are just amazing in a time where people's anxiety could cause them to be so fear-based and so, like, protective and could cause them to not be able to help and share their resources with the team. And that's not the experience that we're having.
Not at all. And it is scary. It's scary because we have people who are very used to being outside and teaching and leading and guiding in a very different setting. And now all of a sudden we're like, hey, that's not happening. So how about this virtual thing, which we were going to have a year, but now we don't. So guess what? Everyone learn how to videotape in your own home. Yeah. I said videotape. That's how
right. Also, shifting our language around, like, it's not videotape. It's so funny.
Stream, and it's like, it's giving yourself grace, just like you give yourself grace in everything, to make mistakes, right? Because mistakes are going to happen. And the very first time I tried to go live, and I definitely told everyone I was going live. I sent it out in every email and on every social platform. And what happened? It didn't work. And so for me, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm trying to lead this team, and what a failure, right? I literally sat down in my living room and I cried for a minute. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to teach my people if I can't even get this. And then I just was like, okay, calm down.
Yeah.
We'll get through this. And so, like, understanding that each of us have, like, our little moments, and we're all learning, like, and giving yourself the grace to say, like, okay, that didn't work. It's okay.
Yeah.
We're just going to try something else.
Yeah. And what I love about that is, like, your immediate reaction is, we will get through this. Not you as a person by yourself alone. Like, that there's a team around you, and we will all figure this out. And your members, I think, have lots of grace and the ability to, recognize that this is new and different. And I think the amount of support that you receive from the members, and being able to say, like, that's okay, we'll try again. Like, we love this work and this program and this community so much that we're not discouraged by a mistake in live stream number 1. Like, there's a trust from the members to venture that, like, you you will fix it. You will figure it out, like we always do. If someone gets bucked off a horse or there's a pandemic and you can't be in a campsite, we'll figure it out. And I think that that's one of the great things about, making mistakes in such a supportive community. It doesn't necessarily, like, it doesn't have to feel earth shattering or like life is over, right? That there's a member that's going to direct message you and say like, hey, that didn't go well, but like you looked great. You had such a good vibe. Like, I know that the next time it's going to be awesome. Like that, those words of encouragement, even in the midst of something chaotic, whether it be internet based or Mother Nature.
Yeah. It's understanding that no matter what, life doesn't go as planned, right? Like, make a plan, try, but like there's so many different facets that are going to come in and they're going to mess with your plan. And so just being able to always like pivot, and then most importantly, give yourself grace.
Yeah.
And that sense of humor. Again, I can't like stress that enough. Like, have a sense of humor about yourself and have a sense of humor about your team. And also the biggest thing that I've learned is like, trust your team, right? Back off and trust your team. Like, so you hire these people, right? You bring these people on, right? So we have our whole team. Something goes awry. I have to trust that they're going to make the decision that I would agree with in that situation. Or at least like tell me why they think they made that decision. And I'm like, all right, great. I mean, if that's what you thought, perfect. As long as it's safety first, and then after that, whatever. But like, no micromanagement, because I don't believe in that. I think that like you hire the people that you hire because they are qualified. Now let them do what they do.
Right. And we trust that the team, well, the other part of this is like, we trust that the team will figure it out. That, it's also kind of uncommon for somebody to be by themselves with a group of our members. Like, we have 2 or 3 people there that we know are going to be like holding the space and taking care of the group, and we know that they can lean on one another, that the team is strong, and we can trust that they're not feeling alone in this either.
100%. And we all have each other's backs too, And I think like whether we're doing corporate wellness, or whether or not we're doing the healing retreats with, Stronger Together, or we're doing our membership based stuff, or we're doing our big adventures, like whatever it is, like we all have each other to lean on and ask questions, and every single person's voice is just as valid as the other. Mm-hmm. My voice is just as valid as yours or Laurel's or any member or anybody that's involved in the retreat, or anybody that's involved in the adventure, or anybody that's involved in the class. Like, the thing is understanding everybody has validity. Mm-hmm. And everyone is important, and we see you and we hear you.
Yeah.
And again, we're all in this together. Yes, we're the leaders, but we also understand we're all kind of in this.
Right. I mean, that's the collaborative approach, right? You're the leader. You are the director of safety and kind of following the protocol, but there's flexibility and space for feedback from members about kind of what's going on in classes, what's going on in their training, what's going on a hike or things like that. It's great because people have an opportunity to say, this is what I like or don't like. And we do listen and we hear, and we don't want people to feel as though their voice is unheard or that they don't matter.
Yeah. Everyone matters. Everyone matters. And that's why it's like really important to, what ultimately we're trying to do is what, right? Help as many people as we can. Like, so that's been a goal since day one. And so we're just constantly always talking to each other and figuring out how to evolve and how to reach more people and how to get our word and our message and what we're doing out to not just like our immediate community, which I love, but also like worldwide. Like, how do we get to them? Yeah. Like, how do we help these people? Like, anyone who wants to help, we want to help them. So like, we totally have this team of people that's on board with that idea. And that's so important. They're not like, I just want to be a trainer and just teach this class at this park.
Yeah.
That's all I want.
Yeah. I think one thing that I know about you that's like consistent in and all the communication that we have is that you want to find ways to help all the people. How can we help more people? And when there is an idea that comes out, like, this is, I think, another way we can help more people, like, your immediate response is just so excited and, you know, can we help even more? Is there a way to expand that and make it
75 exclamation points?
Yeah, we're helping all the people. And I think that's really, that is really the foundation and the core of Venture and the team is how do we help more people? How do we help them in a way that feels good and supportive and kind and loving, but also asks people to stretch and grow and lean into that discomfort. And I think it's a really beautiful way that Venture is designed to be able to do both, to offer support and ask people to stretch themselves.
Yeah. I mean, that's why we're here, right?
Yeah.
And the other thing too is like even the financial aspect of it. You know, I see these big companies and they're charging, you know, $150 a month for a yoga membership. And I'm like, you know, I'm not gonna badmouth anybody's business, but like I've always been of the mindset that like feeling good about yourself and getting mentally fit and physically fit and emotionally thriving shouldn't cost $1 billion. Like access to these type of things should not break your bank. And that's why I think we're non-elitists.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that we're not top of our game in training, because we are, but we want to be accessible to everyone.
And I think that's the great part about the model, the business model, is we find spaces to do things that cost less, like the beach, the park, right? I mean, we're outdoors and we're doing things that are cost effective for the company and for the members. And we are always looking for creative ways to reduce the cost to our members while maintaining the like monetary value of the contractors and things like that. And I think with that like mission and vision in place, we attract that type of community as well, that people that are invested in the same ways and have the same beliefs about physical and mental health and wellness accessible to everyone.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, I'm tired of fitness and wellness being a really big price tag and only available for like those that can afford it.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
yeah.
You know, that's not how it should be. Like people should be able to have access to this and do something great for themselves without going broke over it.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
I think that the people who have come on board with us, who have like done a season with us or who have been on one of our retreats or one of our adventures or whatever, they get that. Once they get it, they're like, oh, wow, like awesome, you know? So, you know, we're trying to always keep that price low while also paying our contractors what they deserve.
Yeah.
You know, and make a little money to keep the company still running and pay the insurance, because oh my gosh.
Because you got to keep us safe.
No, I think people realize like no one knew how to deal with us. Like insurance companies, like when I came out and I was like, okay, so we do yoga, and they're like, okay, you do yoga, we get that, like how much, blah blah blah. And I was like, yeah, but then no, but also we're doing personal training. And they're like, wait, what? And I'm like, yeah, no, but and then we have a boat, so we're gonna take. And they're like, you have a what? And I'm like, yeah, but
and also we do yoga on the boat.
And then the paddle boards are going to go. They're going where in the bay? I'm like, yeah, but it's fine. And we're going to go rock climbing in Joshua Tree. You're going what? And I'm like, well, okay, but then we got back from whitewater rafting. Whoa! Like they're like, what is this? And like, I know we're new to this whole concept, but like, so basically, insurance was like, yeah, it's $700 million.
Yeah, you're like, yeah,
great.
Well, Ciara, thank you so much for spending this time and helping all of our members get to know you a little bit better and your vision for Venture and for the members. I think that this is really helpful for people to be able to get to know you and really feel the vibe and the culture of Venture Active.
Oh, thanks. I'm so glad that like you're doing this because people get to meet you too, which is like super, super, super important.
Yeah.
Stronger Together is going to be like a really, really big thing. So stay tuned, everybody, for Stronger Together. More Stronger Together stuff.
More stronger.
More community helping community. Yay.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.